Hi. I want to talk a bit about safety and why or what is this need for safety in a world that we believe is unsafe? And to pose the question, by feeling unsafe and believing that thought that the world is unsafe, do we become more safe? Or is it by walking through the fear of annihilation that we discover for ourselves that yes, maybe the body translates, it loses its former shape, it dies. But do we? What is the quality of life that we live when we fear our own death? And then, if it's not physical death, when we fear the pain or the suffering coming towards us that we believe because of our past that has yet to be reconciled within us, that is generating thoughts of a future not yet come to fruition, that's living within us now, in which we need to then create a protector within us to save us or protect us from all of the ideas that are outside of us, the unsafe, the ones we need to protect ourselves from, the unpure, the unholy. And on some level, this protector is helpful. Yet unraveling the life of the protector within us, we may discover that the protector, in the idea that it is protecting us, is actually protecting itself. As a function of the protector will give power with the illusion that we can separate our experience of hurt and pain, of our feelings, from that of the whole, that there's an individual here having an experience. And with the individual that then creates an other, another, in which it needs protection from. In protection of self, in protection of self from other, that gap then of separation becomes time. And this waiting for things to happen in this unknown space that we live within us because we're not whole and united and attuned to life, perpetuates more suffering. It's different to live life, feel pain, recognize that there's nothing we could have done if we're experiencing it to have avoided that. Now, we may be able to become more attuned to the future, but not as escaping the pain, if not becoming more loving, becoming more full of the wholeness of ourselves, which is a different desire or derivative, not to avoid pain and suffering, if not to become better lovers of the world, to become better lovers of ourselves, become more unified, right? Not more covertly separated, so that we don't have to feel and experience more of that. And we can understand that that fear is what is generating or attracting or magnetizing more of that to ourselves so that we can see it consciously and love it back into the wholeness of ourselves as part of the whole, thus part of us, thus us in identification with the whole of us, not as a part of us. So the intimacy that we are with life doesn't need a protector. The protector that we often identify with, that we think that we need, is covertly protecting the small part of us that's actually fragile, that is able to be annihilated, is separate, and is maintaining itself separate by feeding us illusory power and control. Because when we hurt and we push away our experience, that pushing away takes inside of us, it takes will. We're willing that. So we've taken our creative life force freely given, and we're choosing to create, cut off, create a part of a separate sense. And there's lots of reasons why that, of course, happens. In fear, we create a separate sense. It gives us the power to do that and to maintain a fictitious wall of power and control, feeding us this power and control through separation. Yet there's a power greater than that, which has the ability to annihilate that separation and create wholeness. It does not need to protect itself because it's whole. It loves every facet of itself fully, completely, without aversion. That's difficult to understand when we've created and maintained ideas of separation from fear of our own death, of our own annihilation, and our belief that we are weak, that we could never recover from the darkness of the world if it is, if we are living the darkness, because that same protector is stifling and imprisoning our soul. in a shell that is numbing us from life. Life being everything, life being the idea of other that lives within us. As we challenge these beliefs and we walk through our own pain vibrationally, reclaiming our disowned spaces that were given up for this protector, that all the protector seems to do is to, once it's touched, that pain is touched, push it away again, protect us from that. And yet it is the walking through that, the loving of that, the reclaiming of that, the reconciliation of that, that restores the whole of it to us where the story is dropped. The personal identity of me and you, the victim and the perpetrator, is dropped. Identity is gone. Equanimity reigns. Sameness returns. A greater shared field of understanding where love and compassion rule, where we see the patterns of the world and we know ourselves within the pattern and greater than the pattern. Forgiveness for these spaces where we've created time, where we've withheld from ourselves the experience of allowing life to teach us, to feel, to attune, to walk through our resistance and surrender that resistance, that protector, that separation, that desire, because we build up the patterning to choose the protector collectively and individually. And then that patterning, subtle, it's subtle because it's so covert. It seems like it's helping, and yet the shadow of it is so covert. So as to see that it's actually withholding from you what you want, which is yourself, which is your intimacy with the all of yourself, which is to feel that pain so you stop feeling the pain, not so that it comes back and you push it away again and withhold. And that psychodrama that's created by avoidance, by aversion, by denial. Protector is not protecting you. It's killing you. It's stifling the very life force within you that you are in truth, in love, in unity, in wholeness. That which is greater and more powerful than that power that we would choose to push it away. And it will give you that power. And we will feel powerful for that moment because we can control it with our will. We can push away, we can force it, we can bend it, and we can get very skillful with the mind. Because that power in this world is a force. And yet when we rediscover and remember that there's a power in which that power came from, And that the temptation is to pick up that power because it gives us a feeling of invincibility for the one who's feeling weak, which is part of the illusion. We put down that choice to pick it up. We stop being tempted by a lesser power. It's lesser. It cannot give us totality, wholeness, real, complete self-understanding or knowing, because it wants separation. Surrender into the flow, into the pain, into the allowing life to teach us that we experience the totality, the fullness of the full spectrum. Doesn't mean painful. Doesn't have to be. As we ride the idea of death and rebirth, the pushing away and the pulling towards, and we get clear that we're not picking up that power. The rebirth and the idea of birth just is. Life becomes just life. It's just an experiencing a full spectrum. When we lose the protector that keeps us in bondage, life just is. Forgiveness helps to restore us. All of the years of shells that we have, the numbness, the withholding from ourselves, it is miraculously dissipated, annihilated, destroyed, all of that shell, and we become open again like a child, in touch with our innocence. This forgiveness is not for others, this is for ourselves. From ourselves, all of life is restored. All shells, all hardening within ourselves is soft again. And we relax into real safety, real comfort. Within our own home. One that nobody outside of us can take from us, although they may try. And the gift that we continue to give is that within our knowing that to push them away or push that away would be picking up that power again and that control and that little sense of self that would then imprison us once again. That we let go of the temptation to exclude and we listen and return and listen and return and listen and return and listen. And we just stay and listen. All arising from within. Nothing to fear. Nowhere to go. No escaping. what is. Thank you for being with me.